Hello, my name is Nathan Etherington. I'm the Program and Community Coordinator here at the Brant Historical Society. Archival Discoveries is a show where we find documents at the museum and learn and discover something new about Brantford's history. Today's episode, we're going to feature the Grand Valley Railway. Alright, so let's see what type of documents are in these envelopes. So we have correspondence, envelope 1, and it just looks like a whole bunch of correspondence continuing through the envelopes on various items regarding the company. So let's discover kind of how this is organized and what actual information is in these documents. So as you can see, a lot of it is not in good shape. The paper, a lot of it has had some water damage where the ink has actually like bled and you aren't able to read things as clearly. But some of the good things that this folder does have is reports, sometimes weekly reports about the state of business. So we know what's actually happening financially within the company, other than these shares that they need to have in order to finance the business and the debt. They obviously are also operating a business, so they need reports on that side of things. So you can see here, this is dated June 8th, and they're talking about the past week of sales, saying, the cold weather and no park somewhat affects us. So they're also running parks, this company. They are owning Mohawk Park at the time, and they have a railway stop that goes out there with the Brantford Street Railway Company. So you can see their sales throughout the week. Early on in the week, sales are lower, obviously. And then as they come towards the weekend, the sales pick up. This week is very odd because the Friday is considerably lower than the other days. Usually the sales on Thursday would be higher like that. You also see they have an office in Paris, and rather than report every day on the business, they report weekly in terms of the business sales. Okay, here we have another document from that same envelope, and rather than it talking about sales in the current month, it talks about sales in the past month. And it does so over a series of days, so it gives us a better sense of the trends throughout the week, on the weekend, and for holidays, for example. So it goes from May 12th all the way until the end of the month, so it's the majority of the month. And you can see the dates as 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, and then it jumps to 17th because it would be Sunday, and on Sunday there would be no railway service. So that's instantly how we know what day of the week is what. And then you can also see those trends throughout the week. So you can see in the early part of the week, sales are relatively low, between like $40 and $50, kind of maybe 60 throughout the early part of the week. And then on Friday or Saturday, you have 192 the first week, you have 101 the next week, and 97 the week after that. So you get the sense of what happens throughout the week. And then you also see Victoria Day, or what we call Victoria Day now, the 25th. And you can see the amount of business they do is considerably larger, $534. So almost 5 times as busy as a normal Saturday. So usually when they do that, they list the shares, they list the executive or the board of the company as well. And so this is some correspondence confirming the name of the board members so that they can start advertising the stock. So we can see, the high ups in the company. The president's actually not even in town. He's in Woodstock. We have Toronto and Montreal. And then we have some more local roles being filled by Brantford people. So we have a hardware merchant, Walter Turnbull. We have W.B. Wood, who's the registrar. We have Dr. Ritter X, who is obviously, he's the guy who's running the company, or a lot of the company in correspondence. He's the treasurer. And then we have a secondary, Augustus Elliot. Okay, so here we have a document dated July 13th, 1903, and it's coming from Pattison in Toronto, who's kind of running a lot of the financing of the business. And he's sending it to Dr. X, who's running everything here in Brantford. So this one's very different than the rest because it's not talking about an actual shares of money, but it's talking about money dealing with the business or expenses dealt with the business. So it mentions the Standard Bank on Saturday and this company that they've worked with, Harris Cook and Company. And it's the first time that we see something about the size and scope of the bills for the business. We can see that they owe over $10,000 on this account. So with trying to raise money for shares, it appears that the company's already in quite a bit of financial difficulty, just trying to keep the upkeep and the expenses paid. Okay, here we see reports from early July talking about sales at the end of June. So you can see sales tend to follow the early May trend, where they're busier, or they're not busy during the early part of the week, and Saturday is their busiest day. And now we're changing into summer mode, right? We have July 1st. So at that point, it's kind of still more called Dominion Day. And we can see the effects of the holiday there. They have almost $400 in sales on that day. We also see reports from the Paris office where those sales are up. And we also see receipts from Picnic. So this obviously are events or things that they're holding out at Mohawk Park or other parks like that. They often had food services out there, as well as they'd have some typical amusements, and those would also help provide attractions to the park, and then provide some revenue for the company to pay for its ongoing expenses. Okay, here we see some reports from the end of July talking about sales. On this one, they've done something different than we haven't seen before. They break down receipts and the sales from the railway separately. So we get a bit more of an idea how much money they're making from the park part of things and how much they're actually making from the railway. So you also see different trends as well. So the sales aren't as consistent throughout the week, but they're definitely higher than they were in the spring. You also see sales from the weekly office, and then they have receipts from theater. So whether they had a theater there or as well. They add a note here that you can see the good weather is increasing the receipts in a very marked manner. So that's helping out the business there. At the end of the month, you got this weekly report, and again, you see much of the similar things. Increased revenues kind of throughout the week, and then as well, you see receipts from the actual park go up. They're over $200 for the entire week, and then they have some other excursion. Maybe that's a private gathering or something that they're doing, and they're making $21 off of that. Okay, here we see a report from late August. So you can see it's typical kind of summer tourist season. Every day is making over, pretty much every day is making over $100 in sales. And then the park and picnic sales are also increasing to a large amount. So everyone's clearly on holidays, and they have the money at this time to afford some of these luxuries, like going to Mohawk Park. Okay, here we have another letter from dated September 5th, 1903, from Mr. Patterson to Mr. X here in Brantford. And so this is kind of talking about some of the more tricky financing aspects of the company. So he reports that he's headed off a mortgage that he had been talking to him about. So it seems like they're having problems finding someone to take on or to give the company money so they have money to pay their mortgages. So he has finally done so. He has a farm that he can put up as collateral and sell it for $5,000 in a forced sale. So you can see him here as well, talking about some Mr. Kerr. So the mortgage is at face value, and the $2,000 in bonds that he will leave with us will insure anything or everything else. So it sounds like everything is taken care of. He notes that Sweet, our lawyer, has passed everything on, and it seems like the financing of the company is slightly more reassured for a short period of time. Okay, so here we have another document that is perhaps more interesting than some of the rest because it talks about Supplier for coal and coke. So they are getting soft coal, and they're receiving it in two places, either Brantford or St. George. So perhaps they have a storage location or something that they use in St. George, and that's why some of it would go there. But it's an electric railway, so we thought, why are they applying or trying to procure coal in order to power the electric railway? Okay, so here's the final document that we're going to look at. This is dated even later than the rest. We're now in 1905, and it's talking about statements for the end of the year from July to December 31st of 1904. And it talks about some of the earnings with the company. In the statement, you will see $2,585.64 and $2,484.29. These are the proportion of fares paid to the Brantford Street Railway Company by the Grand Valley Company, and the expenses for the powerhouse. So this is that clue that I was talking about with why they were being supplied by a coal company for an electric railway. So we learned quite a bit today about the Grand Valley Railway. We learned a little bit about the sales history of the company, that Victoria Day was 5 times as busy as any other day in May. We also learned about some of the financing issues with the company related to shares and servicing debt to ensure the economic success of the company, that it could continue. And then finally, we learned about the powerhouse and that they supplied the powerhouse for the electric railway with coal shipped from a provider in Toronto. So join us next week on Archival Discoveries when we start our Remembrance Day themed programming and we explore the Brant County War Memorial Association.